Hello, I'm Greg. Welcome to my channel, Midnight Oil Software, and another Unity game dev tutorial. This video is actually a response to a request from one of my viewers. A while back, I did a tutorial on how to create an in-game tutorial using the EndlessBook asset from the Unity Asset Store. And this viewer was wondering if I could do a video on how to have a sprite animation on a page. And after a little bit of back and forth, clarified that what he really wants to know how to do is how to have a page in the book with multiple sprite animations positioned at different places on the page. So I'm going to cover how to do that in this video. But before I get into the nitty-gritty of how to do that, I did want to ask a question. And I want to emphasize and preface this by saying that I appreciate any and all feedback or engagement that I get on my channel. So this is in no way, shape, or form a criticism or a complaint. I'm really curious. And what am I curious about? I'm curious why some of my recent tutorial videos have been getting more than the usual number of dislikes for my channel. My channel average is 95% likes versus dislikes. And you can see on these, I'm getting more like the 79, 80 some percent likes to dislike. And I'm curious why that is. And I'm very open to feedback. If there's something people don't like about my videos, I'd really like to know why. So I'm going to ask, if you do dislike my video for any reason, don't just click the dislike button. By all means, go ahead and click the dislike button, but also leave a comment. Let me know what it is about my video you don't like. I can't address or improve upon anything you dislike if I don't know what it is you don't like. And I'm also curious if it has anything to do with the recent Unity hullabaloo with the pricing changes and stuff. I imagine there's some people that are just ticked off at Unity, and maybe they just don't like any Unity content at this particular time. And if that's the case, let me know that as well, because I really would like to know what it is that people don't like about my videos. Okay, so without further ado, we've jumped into our Unity project here, and I just created an empty 3D core project, and I pulled in the EndlessBook asset pack. I also pulled in a couple of 2D animated sprites and a bunch of Infinity PBR character or monster assets. But what I'm going to do here, this is the Demo 2 scene from the EndlessBook asset pack. And just to review real quick what this demo scene looks like, we got a book. We can open it up, and it's got this nice animated page there. And then has a table of contents, and I'm going to jump to this interaction page here. And these are the two pages I'm going to replace in the book. On one page, I'm just going to show some primitive types like a cube. I'm going to rotate it, a sphere, and I'm going to pulsate it. And I'll probably have a rotating capsule and a couple of those 2D animated sprites on here just to show you how we can position different types of objects on a page. We'll also throw in some of our own text. And on the other page, I'm going to throw some of those Infinity PBR monsters and stuff on there, which will have their own animations, just to show you how we can quickly design a page using this asset. Now, just to review how this works real quick, under the book object here, you'll see it's got a collection of pages. And each of these pages is just a material. So if we double click on page 17, that is a material that has a texture. If we double click on that texture, you can see it actually opens up this PNG file. So in the case of this particular page, it is simply a static image. That's what it's displaying on that page. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that with a render texture. So a couple of examples of some rendered textures down here, like this one here, page 2 render texture. You can see this is actually the table of contents, and there is a corresponding page view for that render texture, which if we enable that, you can come in here and see that it's got this object here with all the different chapters. So behind, we've got an actual image, which is our material rather. So this page background material, if we look at it, it's actually selected that table of contents texture, which again is just a static image. But then this little center game object here has a bunch of colliders, right? So all these guys just have a collider that's on top of that image. And then the script on this guy will use those to determine which one of these you clicked on and then jump to the appropriate chapter in the book. All that to say that there is a page view that will render to a render texture. So we select the camera for that view and we look at the target texture. You can see that its target texture is page 02. That is the render texture that this camera will render to. But that's how we're going to do it. We're going to create two new page views, one for the left side of the page, one for the right side of the page. We'll each have their own camera. One's going to be at negative 15.75x. The other will be at 15.75x. For their target texture, it will be two new render textures I'm going to create. There'll be a page 17 and a page 18 render texture. So let me show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to duplicate a couple of these render textures. And the reason I'm going to duplicate them instead of just creating new ones is they've already got some values that I want set, like the size, the depth stencil format, and so forth. And I want to just use those, so it's easier to just hit Control D to duplicate. And then I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to call it page 17. Now you'll notice there's already a page 17 texture, and what we're going to do is we're just going to use this page 17 render texture instead of that page 17 texture. I'm going to duplicate page 20, and I'm going to rename that one and call it page 20. Oh, I want that to be page 18. There. So now we've got two new render textures for page 17 and page 18. I need to get out of play mode here. Okay. So save the game. One thing I want to do is go back to the materials for those pages. So we got page 17 and we got page 18. And what I want to do is for each of those is I want to change their textures to be the new render texture. So I'm just going to hit select and I'm going to scroll down here to page 17. So now he's got the new render texture, and I want to do the same thing for page 18. All right. Now currently nothing is rendering to those render textures. So if we were to actually go ahead and test this, we should just see when we go to that page, we should just see black pages. And we do. So that's perfect. The next thing I want to do is I want to create two new page views, one for page 17 and one for page 18. So up here under page views, I'm going to right click, create, empty, and we're going to call this page view 17. And then I'm going to do that again. Page view 18, and I'm just going to move them up in the hierarchy. Doesn't really matter, but I want them up there. The other thing I want to do is I want to add a script to these. I want to add the page view script, and that's because I want to be able to go up to this demo object, and under page views I want to be able to add those guys to the collection of page views. So let's add page view 17 and page view 18. And then I'm just going to move this guy down and this guy down. So they're in order. That doesn't really matter either, but they might as well be in chronological order or numerical order. Now that that is in place, what should happen is that this script should toggle those page views on when they come into view and off when they go out of view. That way we're not wasting CPU rendering things that aren't in view. And we can test that by hitting play. And you can see they're active. And if we go back, they are no longer active. So that is working perfectly. Okay, so let's actually start populating this page view here to start rendering some things on there. Now, the first thing we need to do is add a camera and a background image. So I'm going to base it off this page view 19. I'm going to use this map camera. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go up to page view 17. I'm going to say paste as child. And I'm just going to rename that to camera. And it's positioned where I want it for the left page. The other thing I want to do is I want to take a background. So like this guy has page background left. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it as a child. But if we open this up, okay, that looks fine. That's just a nice background for a page. And let me look at this. He's currently culling mask to the map layer. I actually want to create a new layer. I'm going to call it page 19. So I'm just going to take this guy here. Actually, let me go down and make sure, find one that I don't think is being used. Maybe 17. Yeah, I'll just use 17. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put this image on layer 17. And then I'm going to change our camera. Oop, I'm changing the wrong one. I want to go on page 17. I want to change this one to layer 17. And then I want to change our camera culling mask to only show 17. All right, so now our camera is showing that left page. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I added a camera. It's rendering page 17 layer. This guy is on the page 17 layer. His image is this nice background for a left side of the book page, which is exactly what we want. And so now let's render something on the page. So what I'm going to do is I've got this 2D zombie, and I think I might have actually put him in the prefabs folder. Yeah, so let's take this zombie and drag him under page 17. And we want to position him so that he shows up on this camera. I'm moving the wrong guy here. Actually, let me move that camera back. And then we'll take our zombie. And let's reset his position. And we need to get him to show up in the camera. So it looks like he's off the screen to the right. Okay, I'm not sure why I'm not seeing him. Oh. There we go. All right, so actually what I'm going to do is I am going to right-click and go Properties, so I can manipulate this guy and still see our camera preview here. So let's move him to where we want him to be. All right. So we have a nice animated zombie there. And now let's drag in this mob. Put him on the right layer. We're going to right click, Properties. Select our camera. All right, so now we've got those two guys there. The other thing I want to do is add some text. So I have taken one of their fonts. Where are we? Demo for the EndlessBook, Demo 2 fonts. What I want to do, I've already imported the TextMesh Pro Essentials and bonus stuff. So if I right click on this, and you have to make sure you have already imported the TextMesh Pro Essentials before you try this. But if you right click on a font, this is just a TTF font asset. If you right click on that and say create and go down to TextMesh Pro and select font asset, it will create a TextMesh Pro font. So now we can use that for our text. So I'm going to right click on this and go down to 3D Object Text Mesh Pro. So we're not adding a Text Mesh Pro UI object. We're adding a 3D object Text Mesh Pro. So we select that, and we're going to want to give it that font. So let's drag, actually, let me just select it from the list here. I don't want material, I want font. Here we go, font. So now we got that font selected, and I'm going to call this Animated Sprites. All right. And let me see if I was to select this in the scene view. Yeah, that looks better. So let me take this font, this text object, select the Move tool, and I'm going to move it up here to the top of the page. And then I'm going to make him centered, cap line, and disable word wrap. Move that up there. I want him to be kind of a dark brown. In fact, I'm going to pick it. I think I'm going to pick it from this color here. All right, so I like that. Let me go pick our two sprites, move them down a little bit. Take our zombie and just arrange him a little bit. So I'm hoping you can see how easy it is to arrange things on the page. So we've got text, we've got some sprites. Let's go ahead and give this a test. I'm going to hit play. And we're going to open the book. We're going to go to that page. And nothing is showing up. That's interesting. So our camera, oh, I have the wrong target texture. This guy should be page 17. Okay, so I was targeting the wrong target texture. Let's give that a try. And there we go, except our text is not showing up. Let's see why that might be. Put him on the right layer. And of course, I wasn't in play mode, so go out and do that again. Or I was in play mode, which means that the changes wouldn't stick. Okay, so that should work. Now we have the animated sprites text. We have our animated sprites. Let's add another text. I'm just going to duplicate that. And I'm going to call this one primitives. And I'm going to drag that down and change that to primitives. And we're going to right click and say 3D object cube. And let's drag him over here and scale him up. Make him maybe bigger. Maybe not that big. All right. And I want to give him some kind of a material. So how does that look? I don't like that. That'll work. Okay. And then I want to add a script to him. I created, actually, they provided a rotate object script. And I can rotate it on all three axes at a speed of 100. And let's make sure that our cube is on that layer. And then I'm going to add a sphere. And we'll scale him up. And let's see, what material do we want to give him? Oh, that blends in too much. No. Book cover. All right, so I have a book cover material, and I'm going to add a pulsate object script. that's going to basically make that object grow and shrink. And I'm using a asset called Prime Tween. I usually use Do Tween, but I'm trying out a new tweening asset called Prime Tween. From what I've heard, Do Tween does allocations and will therefore create garbage on the stack. And Prime Tween supposedly doesn't create any garbage. And they also provide, if you turn on a particular preprocessor directive, they give you the same extension methods that Do Tween uses. So you can just take your existing code that was using Do Tween and it will work with Prime Tween, with some exceptions. They don't provide all the functionality that Do Tween does, but I was able to do this Do scale that would grow all the way up to 8 times on each axis, and doing a linear easing, looping forever with a loop type of yo-yo. So that guy should pulse bigger and smaller. And then while I'm in here, let's just go ahead and create a capsule 3D object. Actually, I'll do a cylinder. And we'll scale them up. Bring him in here. And I don't really care what the material is. And I'm going to basically use that same rotate object script. But this time, I'm only going to rotate on the y-axis, actually the z-axis. I'm going to rotate on the z-axis and at a speed of, we'll say 50. Okay, let's see. Oh, these guys need to be on the correct layer. All right, let's save the game, hit play, and see what happens. Our camera is not calling correctly. There we go. I'll have to change that after we get out of play mode. But there, you can see this guy's rotating, this guy is pulsating, and this guy is rotating. So we got animated sprites. We've got not really animated, but we have some primitive objects that I guess we are kind of animating them. We're animating their scale and rotation. So that's 2D objects. Well, these are 3D objects, but let's see how we could do some 3D third-party assets on the other page. So let's start by duplicating our page 17 contents all the way up to just these guys here. Yeah, we'll just duplicate the camera, the page background, and our text, our first text object, paste as child. Our camera, we want to move over to there, to the right side. The other thing we're going to do is change our page background to look at page background 20, so it's the right side. We want this guy to render layer 18, and we want these guys to be on layer 18. All right, and let's select that in our scene. Go ahead and turn off these guys. Okay, so that's not quite right. Okay, we want to actually use page background R. So let me go ahead and delete this. And let's look at this guy here. Copy that. Paste this child. There, that's exactly what we want. All right. So now we just want our text. So let's go ahead and move our text to the positive. And we're going to change the text that we're displaying to be 3D models. All right. So now we've got page 18, and it should be on the page 18 layer. Our camera should only be rendering layer 18, and we want to make sure that our target texture is page 18. All right, so there we've got that. So what do we want to do? We want to go get some Infinity PBR models. So I like this flying eye. So we're going to go into prefabs. We're going to pick flying eye demo and drag him in to page 18 and put him on layer 18. And let's position him where we want him and scale him up some. Okay, let's grab another one. Let's grab the giant worm. I'm going to collapse that guy. And we're going to put him on layer 18. Drag him up there. Maybe I'll scale him up just a little bit. No, I won't. He's already pretty big. And let's see, we want to grab another one. Let's say Monster Creature 2. Put him on layer 18. Definitely going to want to scale him up. I'm going to rotate these guys. I'm going to rotate these two on the y-axis, just so they're kind of at an angle to us. All right. And let's see, let's add a couple more. The Mushroom Monster. By the way, I will put links to these assets in the description. I will use my affiliate links so that if you end up buying them, I will get a commission. So if you're looking for a way to help support my channel, if you're already thinking of buying some assets, please consider buying these using my affiliate links. Scale them up. Alrighty. A couple more. Rock Monster. Put them on the correct layer. Scale them up. Rotate them a little on the Y. And let's see. One more. We'll do the slime. Layer 18. Scale them up. All right. It's not perfect, but let's just go ahead and give this a test and see how it looks. The worm is huge. Ooh, and they got sound effects. So it doesn't look like they're looping their animations. But that's just an issue with the asset. I probably need to drag something on them and to enable that. But, oh, and I forgot to change our culling mask over here. Let me make sure that's set on both of those cameras. This guy should use solid color. Solid color. Let's try that again. And I'm going to tell it to play maximize this time. Oh yeah, so they're all animated. It's kind of a slow animation. They're just their idle animations, but there we go. So I could go ahead and obviously correct his position a little bit. It looked like he had root motion on his animation and he moved up there. But I think you can see how we can quickly lay out and design a page. We can throw on text. We can put on animated sprites. We can animate 3D primitives. We can add third-party 3D models. And it all works honky-dory. So I hope you found that interesting. And if you did, do me a favor and click the like and subscribe button. It really does help me to grow my channel. And be sure to check out the links in the description if you want to get any of those assets that I provided, including the EndlessBook asset, which is the main basis for this tutorial. And if you have any questions or comments, you can always, of course, comment on the video, but even better, Join my Discord. I'll put a link in the description. I'm trying to build a community there on Discord where people can share what they're working on and help each other out. And so if you have any questions, you can post there. You can even post code snippets and screenshots that will help us to diagnose your problems. So also, my Highland Panic game is out. It is available on Steam. It's available for the iPhone on the Apple App Store, and for Android on Google Play. I'll put links in the description for that as well. I think that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck on your game development journey.